Just before we start, I'll get Wedangi Pera to do a karakia to open the afternoon. Thanks to Rhonda and Daniel for that interview. Kia koutou nā mai hara mai. My name's Richard Brooking. On your program, we had Tua, who was meant to be here this afternoon. I'm a late sort of ring-in, so the organisers apologise for that. Tua wasn't able to attend. He had to be in Fiji to welcome a waka fleet there, so that was a late call. So you got me first up as a speaker. But I'd just like to also acknowledge the crew of the Aotearoa. Kia ora koutou, ngā mihi kia koutou mō koutou mahi, mō koutou manahi ki tēnei hui. Just for the whole week, the waka has been here running a program, an education program, and quite a few hundred young children and others have gone out on the waka. So to you, Turoa, and to Jeff and the crew, for that, thank you very much. We've got some wonderful speakers this afternoon and this evening, running into the evening. So I'm going to start off with the Horota story. For those of you who have heard it before, my sincere apologies. But in bringing me in, Tiachirangi and Eva thought that it might be useful to do that as a bit of context. Just an acknowledgement also to Eva. Eva's been organising this hui for some time, and so the Symposium, the Unga Mai Symposium, is thanks to her and the team around her. Just a little bit on housekeeping. The toilets, for those of you who need them, are out the side here. In case of an earthquake or emergency, you make your way out and through the main entrance and out onto the main street. Any of you who've got cell phones on, you just turn them off or put them on to silent, so it does, and they don't ring and annoy anybody. So we've got this afternoon Jack Thatcher, Joan Druitt, Hoturoa, and then Tiachirangi. Those are the four speakers. We'll have a break in between, so we've got a bit of a cup of tea, and then there's going to be a question and answer session. So we'll get all the speakers up here so that they can answer your questions. Okay. Find my way around this thing, it's not mine, so we have some delights. Picture of the day. the story of the Horouta is part of the voyaging process that happened over centuries, probably over 5,000 years. And the Horouta is just one of the waka that came to Aotearoa. And in particular for this area, there was the Taki Timu, Te Are, Tere Anene, Ikaroa Araudu. So there were a number of waka that came here about 1,000 years ago, or 800 years or thereabouts. So this story is about the Horouta, which is just one of those voyages that arrived here. The wonderful thing about talking about our history and our navigation is that it puts us back into who we are as Māori as well. That's a picture of Hikurangi Maunga, and one of the things that we do is to relate ourselves to the Maunga. About one of the earliest stories was about Maui Tiki Tiki Aparana. Maui went out fishing and in short hooked a wonderful big fish, the Ika Maui, and hauled it up. His waka, Nukutai Nemeha, is up on top of Mount Hikurangi. So if you want to go up there for a walk, for those of you that have been, that's where the Nukutai Nemeha is. So, of course, Hikurangi is the ancestral mountain for the Ngāti Kro people. And generally, part of that whakapapa story, Hikurangi te maunga, Waiapu te awa, Ngāti Kro te iwi. So on the eastern side of the river, that's where Ngāti Kro and the other iwi, Ngāti Unione, Kāmori, Te Aitanga Hauiti, and the other hapu that exist up through the coast. The other half of the story is about Te Kuria Pāwa, otherwise known as Young Nick's Head, but part of the Horouta story involves Te Kuri. And from a whakapapa point of view, this maunga is part of Ngāi Tāmanihiri. They're the iwi that live at the southern end of the bay. The thing about Te Kuria Pāwa and the naming of it comes from Pāwa, who was the expedition leader for the Horouta. Just recently we've had John Griffin, the millionaire, up on Te Kuri, and he's been developing a biodiversity, a project up there that's started. We've taken the tuatara up there for the first time in probably 1,000 years. Part of the story of the Horouta too is our whakapapa and our relation to it. And so my relationship with that comes through the Rangi Waho whakapapa. In Ngāi Tāmanihiri, Rangi Waho is part of that whakapapa, and also links our iwi with Kahunga and Ronga Whakaata and Ruapani. So the interesting thing when you look around the bay and you look at Tāmanihiri, Ronga Whakaata is the next tribe in from that, and then Daiwhanga Mahaki, and of course on the other side of the river, Ngāti Whenua. Interesting thing about whakapapa too is the when you talk about that in relation to the arrival of those early waka, we can track our way back through to those earliest of waka. The two for me have been the Horouta and the Pakitu. I recently, as part of the Transit of Venus project that's been here during the week, was involved in a DNA study. When I was telling one of my cousins that I had my DNA taken, he automatically thought of the CSI, the FBI, thought I'd been involved in some sort of murder or something like that. And I had to explain it was Dr. Lisa Matheson-Smith from Otago was wanting to try and link or connect Māori, and not only Māori, there were a number of others from here, then get their DNA taken. So she was able to tell me after a couple of months that I was a B4A1A1A, which is really riveting. But had the Polynesian motif. In whakapapa terms, I mean, we don't need to know who we are, but it's kind of nice to have a scientific evidence, a scientist that are in the room. So it's, I mean, it was kind of nice. This DNA study is the mitochondrial DNA, which is tracked through mums, your mums. And so I was able to track that back through my mother's whakapapa, which is through Ngai Pāmanihiri as opposed to Auntie Pro. I hope they don't link it to some criminal database and find that I'm responsible for something. One of the images and the things that we've got in town here, of course, is Te Atirangi, who was speaking last, the carving that he did, Derek Lardelli, and he designed. And on it, it's got the story of Maui, and it's also has a reference to our other wonderful whakapapa. On the back end of it, it's also got Te Maro and Te Raka that were involved when Cook arrived. That place, Haitapi Park, was the place that the Horota came to. When I tell the story, the Horota, as it made its way into the bay, went first to Muriwai, and then it ended up in Haitapi. One of the interesting things about looking back at where we came from in that whakapapa link and the DNA link was to have a look to see how relevant that was, in relationship to the 5,000-year blue water voyaging history that Māori have been a part of. The Austronesians left on the left-hand side of that map, came through Micronesia, Melanesia, and into Polynesia. So during that 5,000 years, they were able to develop their expertise and their skill. This will be covered off in some of the other presentations, so I'm just doing a kind of a light once over, if you like. And so the Austronesians, as scientists have identified them, moved through that ocean expanse. The expanse of the Pacific is the size of, it's bigger than China and the Soviet Union put together. It's massive. It is a massive space. So that 5,000 years of voyaging, bringing them through to Polynesia, and then finally down to Aotearoa. It was a journey of gigantic proportion, but it was over quite a long time span as well. And I guess in order to do that, with the transit of Venus, we talked about science, research, science, technology, and innovation. And so at the time that the Austronesians were actually sort of setting off into the Pacific, they had to think for themselves, about the conditions of the sea, the weather, and all those sorts of things. Science and religion, or spirituality at that time, was kind of connected. So the karakia, the chants, and that part of the culture was an integral part of how they approached the sea and how they identified the weather and what they did about it.